when I was younger, it was being rebellious, right? And then the drinking, the partying, lots of rebellion. And I knew if I kept making these choices that had alcohol in the driver's seat, as fun as they were and as fun as they weren't sometimes, it would not have turned out pretty. Why 24? Like, what was it? And I said, I had that moment of like, all right, God, we're either going to like go down one road or I'm going to go fulfill my purpose that you have for me. What we all were raised with, right? Don't show your weakness. Like, put the mask on, then walk outside. Then it comes at a cost. Stay in the center, stay grounded, give back. The 12th step, stay close to God, pray every day, stay in gratitude, and off you go. And it was beautiful because you're right. We get sober to live, not to just be stuck to some like strict regimen.
Hey everybody, this is Will Gordon from the Willpower Podcast, briefly coming on before this next excellent episode to remind you all that did you know that 76%, you heard that right, 76% of you that follow my content regularly have not subscribed to my channel yet, and I'm really wondering why that is. So if you could, the easiest and freest way to help support my show is to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Like it, share it, send it to people that you think it might help. Because that's what I'm doing here. I've been through it. I lost my liver. I lost my kidney. I had such a severe alcohol addiction that I feel you, okay? I understand what you're going through. And I'm really hoping that these stories are helping. So if you want to hear these stories keep coming, then please hit that subscribe button. It'll be the best decision that you'll ever make. Thank you so much for supporting me. And I really hope you enjoyed this next episode. I heard it was a pretty good one. Take care, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Willpower Podcast with Will Gordon. Today, I'm really happy, thrilled, and thankful to have a very special guest, Nisha Patel. Nisha Patel is a therapist. She's a sobriety coach. She is someone who got sober at the age of 24, everyone, which is really remarkable. So congratulations on getting that decision done at a very young age. So Nisha, you've been 16 and a half years sober now. Is that correct?
That's right. I just celebrated actually 17 in July.
So you're 17 years sober?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, 17 years. That's remarkable. So how do you maintain your sobriety so well? I mean, let's just start off right there.
I would say I break it up in phases. Really, years 1 through 5 were building that foundation, learning myself. They weren't pretty. It's doing the awkwards the first time, socializing or going out with friends or dating, like, right? And then 5 through 10 is like, okay, I can do this sober. Really, now you're stable, you're getting more confident in it. Mm-hmm. And then 10 and beyond has really been more about a spiritual journey for me. Yeah. Really staying close to my higher power and God and living in alignment. Mm-hmm. And so it's not so much of like, how do I stay away from alcohol or mind-altering substances? Those really don't call for me anymore, right? But it's more of how do I live a life with a deeper
What was
meaning.
Those first couple years you said? Like, how did you break those up? And again, I'm just curious how you did that.
I did 1 through 5.
Okay, 1 through 5. So explain that one. That's the foundation. Okay, so why is that the foundation?
Yeah, so I think, your first few years is when you build any foundation of anything you do, right? That's when you're working out the kinks. You're really figuring out how to navigate not only the world around you, but yourself when you're making such a big change. Yeah. And you'll stumble, you'll fall. A lot of people relapse because you're just figuring it out. And also I think there's so many different outlets for getting getting into recovery that when I got sober, it was like 12 steps and there you go. And I also was in the mindset of like, hey, if these people have done it before me and they know what they're doing and they've been able to, maintain long-term sobriety and they live a life that I want to lead, I'm going to do what they suggest. Yeah. And so I think it's that.
Yeah. I was having this conversation actually with Brad on his podcast, Sober Motivation. And we were talking about this and like how important it is to kind of like emulate the people that you're trying to, you admire, and you're trying to emulate their motions, like how they walk, how they talk, like what are the daily things that they do, that keep them in line with their sobriety, and how, even if you don't have it kind of all figured out, like no one does in the beginning, if you just fake it till you make it kind of thing, it can kind of go a long way. And it's not coming from like a perspective of like fake it till you make it. Sounds like, crude in a way, but it's
Mhm.
not like that. It's like you're trying to be that version of some of yourself, your higher potential, but it just takes a long time. So you might as well just start taking like emulating the people that you admire.
Absolutely. And,
Yeah.
making sure and discerning the right ones to admire, right?
That can be tricky,
It can
right?
be tricky at early. And I think that's part of the years 1 through 5 of the learning blocks, stumbling blocks, right? It's figuring out, are people really leading the lives that they're putting out there when they're in meetings or wherever they may be?
Yeah.
Are they out there in society? And I think I was lucky because I was surrounded by a bunch of women who were great role models for me. I always say they like mothered me at the beginning because I was so young.
Do you remember like one thing that they did that you were like, oh, that's really cool? Like that's something that I can definitely want to like adhere in my own life.
I will say one of the most profound things they did, or for me, was literally I remember them being like, "We will love you until you love yourself," And one of them, what told me one day was like, "I cannot wait till the day you come in like ugly, crying, no makeup. Like, can you show us who you really are? But and not in a team.
Love you till you love
Love
yourself.
yourself. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
like they saw the
beautiful.
potential in me that I did not see at that moment in myself yet.
Yeah. And is that so important? Like for someone going through sobriety or going through the early stages of sobriety right now, and it's tough. It is tough. But when someone reaches out and is vulnerable and like just truthful and honest with you, and it hits you, like it hits a chord with you, so that's so profound, right? On so many levels. Like I feel like there's a lot of people who are going through those early steps of sobriety who are missing out on those opportunities because they're almost stuck in their ways. They're not willing to reach out for support. They're not willing to go to an AA meeting. All these things that I feel like they're stifling themselves in a sense.
Yeah. And I think it's very familiar to beat yourself up over
Oh God,
these
yes.
these missteps, right? These relapses or unhealthy behaviors, hurting people. If it's familiar that you beat yourself up enough, then you're going to want to numb from it. And when you want to numb from it, you go back out and you kind of reward the behavior of feeling
Mm-hmm.
not good about yourself. And so
Yeah.
I think when people can go, hey, listen, when you were abusing drugs, abusing alcohol, when you were really disconnected from yourself, you weren't really acting in who you are at your core.
Yeah, I
And
think about that all the time, Nisha. I do. Like, I think about my life back then, like how I was
Mhm.
constantly self-sabotaging myself, like on purpose. Like I was doing it on purpose, almost like
Yeah.
consciously aware of it, even.
Hmm.
And the thing that you just mentioned that was really interesting was like when you're in that space and you're living with like you're comfortable living in the uncomfortability of it, right? You always hear that expression. It's like, what is that? Like why as humans do we do that? Why do we practice something that is, detrimental to our progress?
Yeah. Because it's familiar. Like I said,
Familiar.
familiar. Like, people don't want to be in pain. People don't want to keep dating the wrong person.
Right.
But why do they keep attracting them? Oh, it's because it's familiar. It's what they know. And then
Yeah.
they know the outcome of it. So that creates less anxiety, less stress because there's less unknown.
True. Yeah.
And that's, I feel, what keeps that cycle going when it's especially a painful cycle. Because think about your
Yes.
first, think about my first, like first time we had to go out without any substance. Like, ew.
It's fun going out now. Like I'm so comfortable with myself, with the situation, with I think a lot of that has to do with me being prepared and knowing like, okay, these are going to be my triggers and things like that. So be aware of those. But I find it enjoyable. I don't love being out where it's just like in a primarily just like a drinking environment.
Right.
I did that a couple of weeks ago with some old high school friends, and it was fun. I had some great conversations, but I didn't know how much depth that we were getting to, and it was very obvious to me just how silly um, and how I looked at myself from like not from a judging perspective, not whatsoever, like because I
Right.
that was me for such a long time. These are my friends, I didn't think any
Yeah.
less of them at all, but the conversations definitely were lacking substance, and I understand that like, it's a social lubricant, and like your
Hmm.
prefrontal cortex is all kind of warped, and you're just saying what's all off the cuff of your mind. But sometimes what you're saying off the cuff what's on your mind, in conversations that are meant to be kind of like we only see each other once a year for this event, I was like, man, I'm so glad I'm sober. Like I don't have to worry about saying something so foolish like that. You know?
Yeah. Yes. I was on Megan, my good friend's podcast as well. And we were sharing
Megan's
about
awesome.
that.
That's if you haven't seen her episode, go back in time in the time machine, the
Yes.
Willpower Podcast, and check
Reckless
that out.
Optimist. She's
Yes,
amazing.
she's amazing.
She was sharing about how it was probably within my first few years we had, I think, our friend's bachelorette party or something. And nobody knew I was sober then. I didn't claim it yet, like publicly. Even to my friends, I just said I wasn't drinking. They didn't know why. But it was crazy because I totally forgot that until she recalled it. And she was like, you had fun with us. You stayed out. You danced like you did just back in college. Like, except when it was time to go home, like you took all the cash so we didn't overpay the taxi driver. Like,
Yeah.
And then she's like, but I remember waking up hungover, but you were outside and you were meditating. And I was like, what is she doing?
That's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
It was cool for her to recall that for me because I had no idea she even was watching me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, again, like you've built a strong foundation. It allows you to go live life again. It was right around year 5 where I remember an old timer told me, I said, oh no, I'm moving. Like, I don't want to go to other places. Like you guys are, my people. And she was like, honey, like you're young, you got sober so you can go live life. Like we're always here. Stay in the center, stay grounded, give back, 12 step, the 12th step, stay close to God, pray every day, stay in gratitude, and off you go.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, she gave me permission to like let go of my rigidity around recovery.
Yeah,
and it was
she gave you permission.
Beautiful. Because you're right, we get sober to live, not to just like be stuck to some like strict regimen.
Yeah. So Nisha, you have been a therapist for how long
now? I have to think back to how old my daughter is. Over 8 years now.
Okay, 8 years.
Yeah.
Is that something that you find that you are giving therapy to people who are struggling with substance abuse?
Some of my clients are. Some of my clients struggle with other mental health disorders like depression, anxiety, self-harm, borderline personality disorders. As you know, I do DBT, which, definitely works with a wide variety of mental health, issues.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because that was actually going to be my next question was DBT therapy and brain spotting. Those were 2 things that were listed under your profile. I know nothing about either or of those things. So I was really hoping that you could enlighten me as far as what those are.
Yeah. So DBT, the best way to think about it is it's like CBT with a mindfulness component to it. And so it's broken up into 4 sections. So there's like a skills teaching section, and then there's like a therapeutics session for it. So the different sections are mindfulness, which is the first one, then interpersonal effectiveness, how we relate to people, how we communicate, right? Emotion regulation, how do we obviously regulate our emotions, pretty self-explanatory, and then dysregulation, right? Distress tolerance. So when we're tolerating stress or have a situation that we can't do anything about, we teach clients how they can tolerate that discomfort and increase their distress tolerance.
Yeah. You know what's funny? The emotional regulation component of it, I found it, being sober now for almost 2.5 years and more actually, but I had such an issue with my emotional, just regulating my emotions.
Yeah.
That was like a huge part of my personality. Like that's why I drink so much, like a lot of the time, was because it would calm me down or whatever, get me to a base level of okay, this is like I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to deal with this. And so I would drink. It was like that was like a coping strategy,
Yeah. A lot of people, I find in my practice now that come, especially like I'll get mid 20, 30-year-olds. And that's it. I get a lot of smokers, right? A lot of like marijuana smokers. And that's it. They're like, well, I don't use it as a party drug. It calms me down. It stops my thinking. It stops the thoughts, right? It settles me. And that's what it is. It's a busy brainer that it regulates them until it doesn't. But all that, let's not go down that, but a lot of other things come with that. But I definitely work with them on, reducing use and stopping use as they put in other things in place to help them regulate their nervous system.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, what do you try to do when someone like myself walks into your office, 5 years ago, and I say, "Hey, I just stopped drinking, and I am struggling with like regulating my emotions. Like, what can I do?"
Yeah. So, DBT has actually a book, a really nice thick book. So we start going through it literally like a
Like
classroom. Like,
by the step.
yes,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is very protocol based. It's evidence based protocol. When you follow protocol, success rates obviously a lot higher, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I have clients that do DBT informed, where I sprinkle in the lessons in there. But really, if that was your main thing, we would do a behavior chain analysis. We would look at that, right? And
Hmm.
then I'm also a why person naturally. So with a lot of my clients, once we get them some coping skills, we'll also look at why is it continuing to happen? What is it about it?
Yeah.
Right? And environment. So
Hmm.
yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned why. Not I know it wasn't framed in the sense of what we were just talking about, but the why in
Yeah.
sobriety, right? I want to talk about that with you. So the why in sobriety is it's like one of the meta ideas, because it's a really difficult one to kind of grasp at,
Mm-hmm.
because it's
Mm-hmm.
not it can be hazy, it can be cloudy, sometimes it's not like perfectly right in front of you, and then some people, they don't even know what their why is,
Right.
right, at all, even
Right.
like a little bit. So if someone were to ask you, Nisha, like, I don't even know what my why is, like, how can I figure this out, right? Because if I stop drinking, there has to be a good reason behind it, right? Right. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, what would that why look like for someone, theoretically speaking?
Yeah. I would reframe that and ask them why not.
That's a great answer.
Really? Yeah. Like
I got
why
all
why
sciencey
not?
on you. I was like trying to like frame it like, I don't know why, but
No.
that's a perfect answer. It's a perfect answer.
Well, and I think it helps people stop in their tracks, right?
Hmm.
Of like, well, I have to do it for myself, but I don't love myself. You can go down a whole plethora of reasons why you don't want to do it or shouldn't do it or you're not worth it.
Yeah.
But like, why not? Like, what do you have to lose if you don't do it or
Yeah.
if you do
I
do it?
I
Like,
always tell people that too. Like in my sober mentoring thing, I tell them, like, just see how you feel after a month. Like, honest, like, that's all it takes really. It's just 1 month of not drinking. Like, you'll start feeling so much better. You just physically, like, you'll
you
lose
do.
weight. Like, you just start feeling better. You have more energy. Like, you're giving your liver time to properly heal, because every drink that you have, like, that just takes like however long it takes to get that through your system, to get back
Yeah.
to your homeostasis level. It's like, you know,
I agree. I think the physical right benefits from quitting definitely feel them a lot more than the mental.
mm,
I feel like mentally it's a lot tougher than people remember. I mean, we all have forgetters of like day one, let's be honest, right? But
yeah,
like, and like you and I were talking about silly, like, first that we had to do. But to have something that you rely on to, whether it's regulating an emotion, stopping a thought, a coping mechanism, and then going, okay, well, you don't have that anymore. And let's assume they're not in therapy or like they don't have support. Like, oh my God, can you imagine like
mm,
what's happening? They're probably gonna be like, this is torture. Why did I decide to do this again?
yeah,
So you think it's really, when I work with people, I'm always like, okay, what can we put in placement of, right? And, we're here talking about sobriety and recovery, and it's like going back, like newcomers. Okay, well, I just have a craving, or I feel like, I'm used to going home and doing this. Okay, great. Well, instead of doing that, reach out to somebody in your recovery network,
yeah,
right? Or I don't have that. I don't. Okay, well, who do you have that
yeah,
you can reach out to? And not for them to help you, but I want you to go help them. Go
hmm,
check on them. Don't even talk about yourself, please. Like, tell people that, and they're like, what? Like, don't talk about yourself. Don't. Show up for somebody else. Get out of yourself.
yeah, yeah. That is so true. I mean, that sentiment of like, when you help others, you serve others, right? There's so much intrinsic reward that can come from that. Like, it's just like a natural, beautiful, hidden blessing that the universe bestows upon us. When you go out and you do things for others, you'll just get, there's so much there. There's so much growth
There
that
is.
can.
Right. I mean, you get to help somebody. Yeah, it does help you into, right? Like you said,
Yeah,
like,
there is that little
right.
selfish component too, but that's not really what I'm. That's not.
That's
That's
not
not
the,
the.
that's not, that's a
That's not the
secondary
main.
gain.
Exactly.
No,
That's just like a byproduct of the act
correct.
of serving. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
But I
I'm
think,
I'm glad. I'm sorry. You gonna say something?
no, I was just going to say, I think early on, if there are some listeners listening that have been struggling, going at it alone is really difficult.
Yeah.
And I suggest wherever you can find, it doesn't even have to be an organized community, but just create your own 3 or 4 people that you can connect with, lean on,
Hmm.
to talk to when you're struggling.
Yeah. I mean, that was a huge component to me too. I white knuckled it. I was a dry drunk. I didn't have any support. I had my wife, of course, but she, it's different. Your spouse. I
Yeah, of
didn't.
course.
It was really, really difficult for me to kind of open up and be vulnerable and put myself out there. It's almost like
Hmm.
it's almost impossible to do it by yourself. It really. I say it all the time. It really is almost impossible to do by yourself. I know I did it by myself. I failed, miserably because I just didn't have the tools in my
Mm.
toolbox. So definitely everyone get involved right away if you're trying to get sober. Okay. Mindfulness component. You talked about that quite often, and I love it. I love meditation. I think it's so vital in the recovery process and just being an overall well balanced human. When you talk about mindfulness and your sobriety, and how are those two interlinked? Do you think?
Yeah, so mindfulness, me and my sobriety, I think it's changed throughout the years.
Sure.
Mindfulness is doing one thing in the moment and just doing that one thing, not multitasking, nothing like that. So early on, mindfulness was for me. I really, really focused on keeping my side of the street clean, very mindful of my actions and my behaviors.
Mm.
Um,
Like
right? I mean,
self-reflective mindful, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
self-reflective, very
Yeah.
much so. Because again, I was told, right, we keep our side of the street clean. That's how we maintain sobriety.
Yeah.
So
Keep your house
mindfulness,
in order kind of thing.
house in order, personal, private, all of it, professional, everything,
Yeah.
right? Um, but mindfulness, and also for me, early on, seated practice like meditation was impossible.
Mm.
I couldn't sit for 30 seconds if you paid me. Like I was that person, those people that shake their legs super duper fast.
That's me. Yes.
Yeah, that was me. That was me. But bit by bit, I would listen to like nature sounds or ocean waves and things like that,
Hmm.
and literally grew my ability like a minute at a time.
Right.
And
It.
it's
Yeah. Because it's tough.
slow.
It's tough. It's tough in the beginning, right? Because you're just like, I have so much I got to do. But that's the whole point of the practice of being mindful in meditation, right? It's like I can't even do 5 minutes. It's like, well, just start with 30 seconds. Just
Yeah,
start like,
30
what do you do
seconds.
in 5 minutes? If you're setting yourself up to fail. Like if you can do 30 seconds, a minute 52, and then you start realizing like, oh, like I can see why the beneficial, parts of
Yeah,
this while I am meditating. Because it
absolutely.
really does organize your life. I mean, I know like for when you're meditating, a lot of people are in that camp of like, well, you just focus on your breath in,
Hmm.
right, exaggerated in, exaggerated out, and you just focus on your breath. That's how I get right into it. But in the beginning it's really difficult because you're just thinking about your life, you're thinking about all what you got to do, what you don't have to do, what your health is like, what your finances are like. All those things will start coming in, and and getting back to your breath is a good way of cleaning that out. And then you
Yeah,
do like 20 minutes of it and you're like, wow, I feel amazingly better today, I'm ready to go.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And
um mhm.
even today, like it's hard, right? Parents, busy, entrepreneurs, all of that. My brain can't easily go, oh my God, but I need to get to something. So what I do is I set my alarm clock on my phone. And
Yeah.
so when I freak out, like, oh no, is my time up? I'm like, nope, the thing will beep. And I count. I think counting helps a lot because it gives your brain something to do.
Mm.
So, right. So like focus on the breath, but you could lose focus of the breath because your brain's still like, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
So
It's
count.
it's cool. I,
I,
I I listened to this podcast once, and like they described it as like like when you go on Wall Street and it's like the ticker tape thing like on the buildings, it's like
yep.
showing the
You watch
Dow like
them.
going up and down. It's like those are like your thoughts, and if you just are very mindful of like, okay, like those are the thoughts, watch them go around the building, and then all of a sudden like,
Yeah.
they disappear, right? And you kind of think of it that way, like those are my thoughts and they're just over there, like whatever. And then
Mm-hmm.
and that's you feel better. I don't know, it just helps with me. So if someone out there is curious about how to practice mindfulness and they
That
want to use
is
that trick, go for it. Yeah.
I love that trick. I think it's not unpacking any of those thoughts you have. You just absorb them and go, hey, oh, here it goes.
Oh, there it
Oh,
is
there goes
again. There's
another
my
one.
anxiety. There's my insecurity. There's like,
Yeah.
there's this, and this, but it doesn't have to be me. It's like emotions are like waves. Like watch them go out into the ocean and then slowly kind of like
And feel
set
them,
them.
right? Feel them. Part
Yeah.
of being mindful is like sensing them not only in your mind, but in your body. Where do I
Mhm.
feel it? Where do I
Yeah.
sense it? What's it telling me?
Yeah. Nisha, what's your favorite part about being a sober person?
Ooh, my favorite part?
Yeah.
I love the fact that I don't have to rely on anything to like have fun and truly enjoy life. I know that sounds so cheesy,
Mm.
but like there's such beauty in going, I could do whatever I want and I like really bask and feel the joy of it with nothing like altering it for me.
Yeah.
Like, how beautiful is that?
I know. It's just like how God intended it to be, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much that I'm learning in these early couple of years of sobriety for me because I drank since I was a big time drinker since 14. So that's
Yeah.
my whole life when you really think about it. And I was creating this post the other day and I was going through like the story of my life and like all this remorse and guilt and
Mm.
shame. It's not healthy when you do that, but when you're self-reflective and like no, I'm doing this because like it's going to help me stay sober and it's going to help me maintain my sobriety and it's going to help someone struggling out there who seems like all hope is lost. That's like why we
Yeah.
do it. So you talk about recovery as replacing habits with values aligned living. Can you go and elaborate a little bit more into that?
So living in aligned values?
Yeah. So what is that?
Is that correct?
So yeah, living in aligned values. I get what you're saying, but I'm curious to know what that means for you.
For me, that means number one, defining my core values.
Yeah. Like what are your core values, right?
Mine are freedom,
Ooh,
spirituality,
you had them on deck. I didn't
yep,
expect that.
and helping others,
So
being of service.
freedom, spirituality, and helping others.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Those are
funny,
great
the
core values.
freedom has always been part of it. And I think when I was younger, it was rebellion, being rebellious, right? And then the drinking, the partying, lots of rebellion. And you think, oh my God, that would be bad or it would go away. But honestly, what I realized over the past several years is, I love freedom of time. I love just in healthy ways, obviously, of doing what I want when I want. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right? Freedom of choice that I don't have to choose something that I don't want. That's pretty like profound.
Yeah. And like being autonomous over your life, I feel like is so
Yeah.
instrumental being like a well-rounded person.
And I think that it explains my personality and just how I flow anyways. Like you and I were talking about human design, and I'm a manifesting generator, and those people are like everywhere. We're doing this and that and just flow all over.
Mm-hmm.
So it fits me. When freedom kept coming, I was like, what is that? But I was like, okay.
Did it take you a long time to figure out that? Or was that kind of like already instilled within you and you just had to figure it? You just had to like kind of get through the cobwebs to figure it all out?
I think it's been with me since I was little. I have one of my daughters is like me, and I'm like, well, I see it. But now when I look back at behaviors and all of that, you can see where it's in there. Spirituality. I've been spiritual since I was little. I grew up watching my mom pray. Through everything she's been through, she was very committed to her belief system. And it shaped my commitment, not the same beliefs as hers. Mine's evolved over time. But even before I got sober, like I always had a connection with a higher power and God, always. So it was always like, help me do better, help me do different, help me do better,
Mm-hmm.
And then people are like, why 24? Like, what was it? And I said, I had that moment of like, all right, God, like we're either going to like go down one road or I'm going to go fulfill my purpose that you have for me. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know I was going to be a therapist. I didn't know I was going to speak on podcasts and publicly talk about this at all.
Yeah.
But one foot in front of the other, I trusted my gut and my connection with God and kept it moving.
Nisha, I don't know this part of your story, but was there a moment in your life at 24 that made this, like, what was the decision process going by saying, okay, this is just not serving me anymore?
Yeah, it was the same cycling over and over, right? The like, oh gosh, I did it again. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Right. I think when I want to do it came to the I have to, it became a coping mechanism.
Mm.
That's when I didn't recognize myself in the mirror. And I was like, oh, I don't like
I
this
don't
person.
like you just didn't recognize
That's not
who
who
you.
I am, right? And I think it was then. And I knew if I kept making these choices that were that had alcohol in the driver's seat, as fun as they were and as fun as they weren't sometimes, that I don't know what it would not have turned out pretty.
Yeah. I'm sure people must have looked at you too, like, you were crazy, like at 24, because it's such a young age. It's like the sweet spot for drinking,
Yeah.
I feel
I
like.
know. Like I say, I'm a grandma, like it fits my internal clock perfectly.
Yeah.
But seriously, yes, people did. I didn't have many other young people doing, getting sober when I did. I knew some, but not many.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, I also was drawn to older people who were more mature and had answers for life. And I just had this hunger for learning and curiosity. So it kind of didn't matter to me.
Yeah. This is just something that just popped into my head, and I'm actually glad it did. So when you see clients and they come into your office and we're talking just specifically for sobriety, when you're doing your sobriety coaching and things like that, I'm always interested in the differences between male and female when it comes to getting therapy and what their main issues are. Because when I do I mostly have, actually, no, it's actually very balanced, actually 50-50 right now with my sober mentoring. But I'm curious to know for you, if what do you think that the major differences between males and females are? Because for me, it's they come because they don't have a lot going on in their lives. They lack the male friendship, so they just have low self-worth, which then will all of a sudden be associated with something like drinking. And then everyone's got a different story, but I was just curious, do you see any common threads or through lines when it comes to that? What are the differences between the two sexes, and why does alcoholism look different for each?
A lot of the women I see are what we call high functioning,
Mm-hmm.
right? They look the part. They have the mask. You would never guess it.
Yeah.
Ever. They're living the life.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're really suffering behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm their person that's I see you, I feel you, even if they don't say it out loud. I'm like, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, you look like me, you got me. And I was like, I got it. I think that opens up that vulnerability for them. They just need for somebody to see them, somebody to love them while they can't love themselves.
Yeah. That's all it takes.
And somebody
Getting
that's
back to that
done
again.
it.
Yeah.
Someone that's done it successfully, right? To go, hey, here's a way back to yourself. Really, it's the road back to ourselves. Men, a lot of times I get men that have done all the checklist of life, right? And they're and now it's starting to affect them in negative ways. There's consequences to their drinking. More behavioral, less emotional attachment than the females, I'd say. But I think when they again come into my office, there is just a sense of safety and comfort that they feel where they are able to talk about these emotions that they've tucked down so far, for so long.
It's really hard for people. It's actually not difficult to do it, but it's for some reason as humans, we're really stuck in our ways of wanting to get better, being vulnerable and honest and open and just saying what's on our mind. I don't understand why not more people are just stop giving a shit about what everyone else is thinking about you. They're not, everyone's so busy thinking about their I mean, I'm saying
No, you're right.
yeah, but it's true. It's everyone's too busy to care about what you're doing, honest to God. So why wouldn't you focus on you and being the best version of you if you can do it? Because don't worry about what anyone else is thinking.
I mean, I think that's such a big layered, that is very layered. First comes to mind, I go, oh my gosh, well, I hope you know, I didn't come out with my sobriety story until I was 16 years sober. Okay.
Yeah.
So talk about
that's what I was drinking my whole life because I cared so much about what everyone else thought.
Yeah.
That was my level of worth.
And I remember I was meditating. It was your purpose is greater than a community you never fit into, that literally. And I was like, all right, God, I got you.
Your purpose is greater than the community that you never fit into.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's deep. That's profound.
So that's really on my 16th birthday. I remember I was doing staycation and I told my executive coach, I go, here I go. And she goes, okay. And she like thumped me. I always say, you thump me off the ledge, please. And she thumped me off the ledge. And I shared, and it wasn't a big deal. Like, you know, I have my most important backing is my family. And they are very proud. And then next came to mind of like, why are people so afraid to share and get vulnerable? I think because as society, we really talk up people who have things. It's very materialistic. You know, people aren't rewarded for, oh, you did some deep emotional healing and you're such a good human. That's not rewarded as much, right? That's really intrinsic.
Money behind that. No.
And there's deep conversations, like you said, like that you now crave and value over just these, you know, generic conversations.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to stay general because it's safer.
Right. Which goes back to the being comfortable and the uncomfortability and the familiar.
Yeah. And it's like what we all were raised with, right? Like, don't show your weakness. Like, put the mask on, then walk outside.
That was the home I lived in. My parents were great, but they were doing the best they could with what they you know.
Same here, 100%. And I understand we don't walk around with our wounds, like, understandably, right? Yeah. But also then it comes at a cost.
Yeah. What do you say to people when they come see you and you're doing your coaching and they're trying to discover their why? How do you like start with them? Like, where do you even begin?
You know, so I have a core values worksheet I actually do with them. I have
That's actually really cool. It's like trying to figure out what are your values, right?
Yeah, let's figure out what, you know, and it's a list of like over 150 words. And they can change a little bit over time. Like I've done mine for the past, 10 years. Mm-hmm. They haven't shifted very much. Maybe the words change, but not really the intentions behind them. But yeah, let's start there. And then I go, okay, so here are your core values. Now, are you leading a life that's connected to your core values daily? No. Okay, what are you doing outside of that? Because that's where incongruence is happening. That's where the discomfort is. That's where, whatever needs to be on skills, whether it be skills or healing or redirection. And then why do we want to do that? Like, what's important to us?
Yeah. That's really cool to have like a generator worksheet kind of thing to get the brain going, because it can be daunting when like you've lived a life and say you're like in your 50s, 60s, and you're just making this very courageous move of like, okay, this is not serving me anymore. I want it out of my life. But what do I believe in? Like, what do I care about? Right? I mean, it's a big one, and I feel like a lot of people in this world are struggling with that exact idea of like, who am I in the world without alcohol? Right?
That's
like,
what it is.
Yeah. Like, who am I? What do I care about?
Like, who will I be without alcohol? Right? Or what will I do? Mm-hmm. They don't know. It becomes part of your identity. Right. I mean, a lot of society connects that way. I mean, we are seeing there's a big decline in drinking now, which is
really cool. Yeah. So when there is like that pink cloud of sobriety and people are riding that wave, right? And then all of a sudden, like, it kind of takes a dip, right? Like, how do you help people notice, like, or how do you guide them to help them realize that that's like normal? Like, that's a common thing to feel that way.
Honestly, it's the ebb and flow of life, right? Mm-hmm. So if we look at what comes up must come down, right? You can look at the bell curve. You're never going to always be at the top, ever. It's got to balance out. It's how you handle it. So getting sobriety, it's not about taking all the hard days away at all. It's just so that you're able to cope with them better and not create crisis and create a mess out of your life. Yeah. I remind them that this is short-lived, right? So literally that one day at a time. Yeah. And I have clients who are crippled with like depression. They're like, I can't get out, or I can see them, and I'm like, oh, the gray cloud's back. That's what I say. It's like, it's here. I'm like, okay, great. What are the things that we can do to get you through that gray cloud? Yeah. What are the 3 things you can do? Like, it doesn't have to be all the things, right? But just do them consistently, even when you don't feel like it. Even if you're not feeling the benefits of them right now, just keep up the action. There's something to what you just said there. Like, that's very profound. Like, doing things that you don't want to do, knowing that the outcome will outweigh the discomfort in the present moment, right? But really, the first thought and the best advice I was given, take care of yourself. Yeah. I kid you not. Take care of yourself, because you cannot give from a place of being depleted. And no matter how big of bandwidth you have, right?
Mhm.
And I've gotten myself in that situation where, yeah, I was like sober, right? But emotionally, I had disconnected from self because I had just given so much. There was nothing left of myself in a certain phase of life,
Yeah.
and to where I had to like go back and like emotionally reconnect with myself and replenish myself. Because it's so easy to just become a doer and busy brain like you are, as I am. That's like our default. But also, it's kind of, you have to be really mindful, because that default can also disconnect you from self.
Totally. And having downtime is so important. I mean, like we're always moving, we're always doing this. Like if you have kids or children, like you're always thinking of them first, right? So it's a lot. And when you're not mindful of that kind of thing, and like you're always going and moving and doing, like that's why meditation is so beneficial, because it's like it puts everything at rest, like everything at peace for at least a little bit, so you can kind of clear the cobwebs out of your brain, and then you can be a little more of like your higher self to everyone else that you're going to experience in the world after that. There's so many
Absolutely.
benefits to it. It really does. It like lowers your blood pressure. It does like all these things that you're maybe not so you're paying attention to in your life. So
Yeah.
definitely practice it if you're not doing it already. Just some free tip. So
Yeah.
Nisha, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you've been talking for a while here. If someone were to get sober tomorrow and they said, "Hey Nisha, like what's the first thing I should do?" What would you tell them?
First thing you should do, let's clear out your house, your environment,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
Let's see who's in your support system. Who are you going to tell? And then, depending if they're fully brand new, I would probably suggest that they go to a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Get somewhere where some sober people are. If they're younger and they're in social media, there's so many like sobriety groups and things that they can connect with.
Yeah.
Really start connecting with people's stories of winning, and not the drunkalogs. Tons of those. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But the people, again, like I said, that have what you want.
Yeah.
Make it feel attainable. Because when you go, oh my God, that's attainable, you're like, okay, today I can stay sober. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, thank you, Nisha, for coming on the Willpower
Yes.
Podcast with Will Gordon. If people want to reach out to you, where can they find you?
You can go on my website. It's theniche.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Nisha Patel Coaching.
Beautiful. Everyone go check out Nisha. She is such a wonderful person, and how she is on screen is exactly how she is off screen. So it's a beautiful thing that you don't see very much anymore. So thank you so much, Nisha, for coming on, and be on the lookout for many, many more episodes coming soon. Take care, everybody.
Yep. Thank you.